Hey, I'm Kristin.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is Locked in a Closet,
a podcast where we tell each other scary stories of true crime, the paranormal, urban legends, and all things spooky.
On this episode, we're going to be covering Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Whatever. Whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
The big hairy giant is what we're going to be covering.
Yeah, so Kristin and I thought it would be fun to cover Bigfoot this week. We decided that since I'm originally from BC and she's from Ontario, we'd each cover sightings and information from our own home provinces and just kind of sort of talk about, compare, and contrast like the West Coast Sasquatch to the Central/East Coast Bigfoot. Is it the same creature? Do they span across the entire country like wolves and bears as a single species? Or are they like different animals who belong to the same overarching species, like cougars versus bobcats or wolves versus coyotes?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they even exist at all?
Who knows? Will we ever know? Who knows?
I want to believe, but like the more I did research on this, the more I started becoming a skeptic.
I know, me too. I for the last few years, like when I've like watched videos and stuff about Bigfoot, I'm like, yeah, okay, like it's possible, like whatever,
right? Like
but
my
now
whole thing
is
like the world is so huge.
Yeah,
North America has not been explored fully.
Yeah,
there's so much untouched forest. Like I feel like there's room for other animals to exist. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like the whole alien thing. It's like, yeah, okay, I can believe it, but the more that you like hear people talking about it, it's like you kind of just sound crazy.
Yeah,
like I don't know.
Like, where's your proof? Like it's the 20th century.
Well, honestly, like everybody has an iPhone or like a smartphone on them. Like just take a video. It takes 2 seconds to open your camera. Why can't you just get a clear video?
Exactly.
Every video, it's like everybody's shaking so much.
Someone's having a seizure.
Like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, although I have to admit, I have tried to take a video something quickly and zoomed in, and it makes it a lot shakier.
It does make it shakier, but like, come on now, somebody could do it,
right? Like
one of these people.
And then two, because everyone has a camera, everyone has equipment. Like then I start doubting these sightings because I'm like, oh, it's just a production. Like that's fake.
Yeah,
it's too good to be true. Like I can't ever choose.
I know. It's frustrating, honestly.
Yeah. So I guess do you believe in the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch?
I don't know. I honestly can't make my mind up.
I think no matter what we talk about on this podcast, I will be on the fence on everything.
Yeah. Unless it's like something that you've like experienced firsthand, like know that it was real.
Even then I doubt myself and I'll try to like explain it away. It's crazy.
I know. It's so weird. Do you believe?
Same thing. I don't know. Like I think I want to because I love fantastical things. And
yeah. I love the idea of Bigfoot, and like I love like all the shirts and stuff that you can buy online, like a Bigfoot. I think they're hilarious, but I don't know.
At the same
time,
I
wish there was more proof.
Yeah, I mean, where's the evidence?
Yeah.
Where's the bones? I don't want no foot casings. I will explain later why I fucking hate the foot things.
Yeah. All of them look the exact same.
Yeah.
People's feet are different. I'm sure Bigfoot's feet would be different.
I literally go and
Bigfoot's big feet.
Well, I call it Sasquatch, so you can say Sasquatch.
Okay, Sasquatch's feet.
Yeah. Which is not an easy word to say either.
No, it's not. Okay, so I got all of my stories from the same website.
No shame.
It's all from bfro.net, which is the site that tracks like sightings and encounters of Bigfoot. On this site, it shows like for America how many encounters, we'll say, have happened or have been reported for like each state, and then for Canada for each province, territory, whatever.
That's really cool.
So I'll just go over the stats as of today. Ontario, second highest in Canada. I'm sure we can all imagine what the highest in Ontario has been. Obviously, BC.
Yeah. In Ontario, you mean in Canada?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, no, just you wait when I talk about it. Just
I'm BC. Sure you have like 8,000 stories. So on the website, BC has 133 reported encounters, with the most recent being in July 2020. I'm sure there have been more than that. It's just these are the ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when did they start and what's their...
Oh, it's just like the 80s. Some of them go back to the 80s, but obviously not everybody knows about this website. So not all
I
of
know.
them
Well,
have
some of the
been.
stories I'm going to say like are back in the 1800s. So
Ooh, cool.
that's why I was like only 100 something.
Yeah, that's definitely lower than it's
Mhm.
supposed to be.
I think there's so many more stories too because people don't want to talk about this stuff. People think they're
That's very
crazy.
true. Alberta, there's 43 reported sightings, the most recent being in March of this year. Manitoba, 31, most recent being in August 2012. New Brunswick, there were 7 reported ones.
I'm
The
actually
most
surprised there's
recent-
not more in the East Coast.
I know, there really were not very many.
Yeah.
With the most recent being in April of 2009 that were reported.
That's
Nova
so long
Scotia,
ago.
only 3 of them, with the most recent being in November 2011. Ontario, there were 68, with the most recent being in July of this year.
Wow.
Quebec, there are only 4 of them reported, with the most recent being April 2008. Saskatchewan, 7, with the most recent being in October 2009. And then the Yukon has 5, with the most recent being in May 2009.
There's got to be more in the Yukon.
I know.
Obviously, this is just like whatever information they've pulled. There's got to be more.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Or
that's
just
just the
me.
people that have reported on this specific website. I'm sure
Okay.
there have been more.
That's still pretty impressive. Like, I don't think I would have thought to go there to report.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed until I saw an interview and somebody talked about it. So what I did was a lot of the ones that were on this website were really lame. So I picked a couple of them to talk about. I did pick the most recent one from Ontario.
Nice.
Because I thought, whatever, it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I picked another one from Ontario that is right near Westport, which is kind of by Kingston. It's like halfway between
Okay.
Kingston and Ottawa. It's such a cute little place. You should go. It's great. And then I picked one from Quebec and one from New Brunswick.
Nice.
Just because the Ontario ones were kind of lame. So the first one is the most recent one that was reported on the website from July 2020. It was southeast of Algonquin Park in Matawaka Valley.
Ooh.
So it happened on July 27th. This guy was camping with his friends. At about 10 o'clock, they were sitting down there having a fire and they heard something across the lake. They listened closer and it was a series of howls. And apparently this cabin that they were staying at was like really secluded. There was nobody across the lake. It was all empty, whatever.
Yeah.
And then apparently he knew that nobody at any of the cottages close to them on their side of the lake, nobody was there.
I love how people know that. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
like,
but apparently he knew that. So let's stick with
I'll believe it. I'll believe it.
So he wrote, having heard these kind of sounds before, I figured it was a Sasquatch.
Mr. PDF of Sasquatch in the university over here.
A PDF of Sasquatch University. Oh,
no big deal. God. I've only heard these sounds before. That is so chachi. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how much I believe his story.
I know.
This is why no one takes conspiracy theorists seriously.
I know. It's really like, honestly, I cut out a lot of this and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I had to keep that in because it was so funny.
So good. I'm glad you did.
So having heard these sounds before, he figured it was a Sasquatch. But no one else in his group had ever experienced this before. So naturally, they were all taken aback and quite excited by this.
I love the visual of everyone sitting around a fire and they hear like these noises. And this one guy's like, just sitting there like,
it's fine.
Guys, it's just a Sasquatch. Calm down.
I've experienced this before.
Everyone's like, what the actual fuck?
Okay. So everyone agreed the howls did not sound like wolves, coyotes, loons.
I was gonna say loon. I was like, everyone always thinks it's something, but it's a fucking loon.
Deer, moose, or any other kind of animal that they're familiar with. These howls went on intermittently for about half an hour. And each time it happened, there were about 3 to 4 howls. So at about midnight, the fire was dying down. So they headed into the cottage for the night. But before going in, they heard a large branch break close by.
Okay. Now
he would estimate about 20 feet from the cabin. At 3:31, he looked at the time immediately. Something hit or threw.
Okay, we laugh, but like there has been times
it'd be terrifying.
I have woken up and I have looked at the time because I want to be that witness where it's like, yeah, I heard gunshots at exactly 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I looked at the clock the moment I woke up. Like,
yeah.
I have like a hero complex, I think. I don't know. But I laugh, but like I've honestly done that.
Yeah. It's just funny. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, he also wrote this in like 0300. Like it was all in 24-hour like military time. Yeah. This is the kind of Okay,
God.
so at 3:31,
So we believe
I
in
looked at the
Bigfoot, right? That's our stance.
something.
We're convincing no one.
Yeah, something hit or threw something at the cottage very hard. It shook the cottage and woke all of us up.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's a little scary.
At first I was like,
I'll give
pine
him
cone,
that.
pine cone on the roof situation.
Yeah.
But if it
Then
shakes
about half
it,
an hour later, he could hear something mumbling/grumbling outside the open window. At 4:15, something gave a long, hard scrape along the outside of the cottage. Then nothing.
oh, not
That's scary.
creepy.
I don't like
That's
that.
creepy. Nope. I'm so glad that I went and did my cottage thing like before we start talking about this.
Yeah, I know, right? It'd be so scary. They checked in the morning. There were no footprints, and then like nothing. They didn't see anything on the cottage anywhere. And then the next night at the campfire, they heard the howls again. He also included an audio clip.
Oh, are you gonna play it for us?
You can't hear anything.
It's in the background, you hear someone go.
Yeah, it's like this is the audio clip. Like you can hear 4 growls. The one at the end is the most distinct. You can't hear anything. So
see, I have gone down that like YouTube rabbit hole of clicking like the Sasquatch sounds in the forest and stuff, and like been spooked. Yeah, because I've heard something, but the fact that there's nothing,
nothing at all. So that was the most recent one, the most recent quote unquote encounter in Ontario.
Why was I thinking this was like in the 70s? Oh my god, that's so funny.
No, that was like a couple months ago.
Oh no.
I just thought that one was funny. Okay, so the next one was in Westport, which is like halfway between Kingston and Ottawa.
Spooky.
It happened in August 2008. This one, I don't know. I'll let you judge. So I just woken up. It was a lovely sunny August morning. So I pulled
a daytime
the blind.
sighting.
Yeah. So I pulled up the blind and looked out the window on the second floor at the back of our cabin. It's always a cabin. I said to my husband, "There's a man walking through our woods." He said, "Let's go and see who it is." It sounds like a children's book.
It does.
Then it happened. I suddenly felt really fearful and said, "No."
Wow.
It's riveting.
This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. After that statement, I've been replaying the site like a full internal video with plenty of questions in my mind. Like there were no clothes. As soon as I looked out, I saw a large dark figure stride out of the forest and into a small grass clearing about 40 to 50 meters from the back of our cabin. The figure was over 6 feet and mostly medium brown, with different colored patches and one patch of hay-colored yellow on its side that stood out in the sun.
A birthmark.
Yeah. It walked with a fluid grace and in 3 long strides crossed the clearing. Then it turned its face toward me for a split second, and it had a dark grayish flat face, which to me had no brown patches. Yeah.
I always wonder, like, what it could be if it wasn't a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Like, because even when bears stand up upright, which if anyone has seen a bear stand on its hind legs, like I can see how that could be a Sasquatch. Like someone might think it's a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
But they don't walk well. Like they can't really do it for long.
Yeah, I don't know. It's super weird. I don't know what that could have been. With like a grayish face and like all brown.
And like the whole thing is that they're like bipedal, so they're on their hind legs. So like there's not a lot of animals that you can be like, oh, that was just a moose or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm curious.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third story is June 2006 in Sackville, New Brunswick. And it's a short one. My wife and I were driving from Moncton to Sackville on New Brunswick number 2, which I'm assuming is a road. I don't know.
It was a bus.
They
have 2 buses.
Yeah. In June 2006, in the afternoon, and saw a figure walking across the clearing about 100 yards away. It was all black. Sorry, I just read ahead. It was all black, walked with long strides and arms out like this.
Why do they always make them walk so awkwardly?
I don't know. Yeah. And we did not see any clothes, such as a shirt or blue jeans.
Very specific.
Yeah. We could not see any facial features. It was about 4 to 5 p.m. We tell our friends that since my wife and I seldom agree on anything, but do on this, it had to be Bigfoot. Okay.
That's it. That's the law.
And then this last story is also really short. I got this one from a CBC article from August 2013. Oh shit, I looked up how to say it, but now I don't remember. Hang on.
That's okay.
Wamenji. Wamenji, Quebec. That's where this took place.
That's probably wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what Google said.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust Google blindly. The guy's name was Melvin. Melvin George Kish, I think is how you say it. It says he was driving his pickup truck along a wooded area in northern Quebec when he saw two red eyes staring at him. Terrifying.
Oh, no, thank you.
When he turned around, they were gone, but he returned the next day to find footprints, which I have a picture of, which we will also post on the internet. On the internet. Wow.
The whole internet gets to see.
And the footprints measure 25 and 35 centimeters.
Okay.
I don't know if there were more than one like set of footprints, but that's what he said.
Just a single set.
Yeah. Just like his feet are 10 centimeters different.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, the stories are pretty lame for like the East Coast, honestly.
Yeah. Apparently it's just all happened in BC.
It's all BC.
I have a hard time believing
no
that a
pressure.
creature that has a 20-foot fucking lunge span only stays to one area.
Yeah. I know.
That's weird. All right. So is that all you got?
Yeah, that's all I could find. All the other ones were like, oh, I heard a noise. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I had such a hard time with those ones because I just watched a video the other day actually where these kids were like, they were recording and they're like, we hear screaming in the woods. And it was like a woman screaming. I feel like most outdoorsy people are gonna be like, oh, it was just a cougar. And I listened to it and it was just a cougar. Like they literally can sound like a woman screaming, which
is so weird.
Doesn't discount their fear. Like I'd probably still be like, oh my God. And then maybe be like, oh, it's probably just a cougar. But yeah, so like so many people that they're like, oh, I heard howling, but it wasn't a loon and it wasn't a wolf. And it's like, well, how do you really know?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you experts?
Yeah. Like, have you ever heard an elk call? Those things are terrifying.
Yeah, they are weird.
All right. So I'm going to talk about the Sasquatch, which is what we call it in BC. I mean, other people call it that too. But my
just BC.
Just it's our word. You're not allowed to say it. Mine's just gonna sound like a tourism, like come to Harrison Hot Springs because that's the hot spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Side note before you start, have you ever watched Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
Oh my God, it's a movie about Bigfoot coming to live with the Henderson family, and it's the sweetest thing. I love it so much.
I think I've seen I can picture it.
Yeah, I think it's from like the 80s. I mean, that's not old, but you know what I mean.
To some people, it is.
Yeah, it's really good. I would highly recommend.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Made me cry, but you know.
Oh God, like I need that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. Okay, so the word Sasquatch is believed to be like an Anglicization of like a Salish word. I'm not going to try to say it because I don't want to disrespect the language, but so anyways, this word basically translates to wild man or hairy man. So the fact that this has some sort of deep-rooted cultural like lore to it excites me because that's the kind of shit I live for. So anyways, yeah, like I was saying, I grew up near a Sasquatch hotspot, basically, near a town or in a town called the hotspot is a town called Harrison Hot Springs, which is about a 2-hour drive from like Vancouver downtown. Okay. So like not that far away, but like when you drive 2 hours from Vancouver, it kind of turns into nowhere after 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So, and anyways, as you're driving into this town of Harrison Hot Springs, there's the Harrison Lake and the Harrison River. Very creative. As you drive into this town, like you will see Sasquatch statue after Sasquatch statue.
I love that.
There's like pubs and inns, like all themed it. Like this town is fully embraced Sasquatch.
I love that.
And even on the other side of or not on the other side, but near the lake there's actually a provincial park that they've named Sasquatch Provincial Park.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, like it is there. They even have Sasquatch Days, which is like
so
a festival that they have.
I love it when towns do that. Like if they're like a Christmas town, oh my God.
Yeah. Or like the town, I'm trying to remember where it is, with the whole Mothman thing. Like fully embraced the whole Mothman.
I want to say it's somewhere in like New York or New Jersey or something, but
I want to say New Jersey. Yeah. Something like that.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. So like this town has fully embraced it. I think that's cute. Like you said too, like for me, like that's what I grew up knowing. Like it's never been like, oh, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Like it's just like, that's just been everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have that festival. They have everything. Now, like I said, I grew up in that area. I've camped in that area. I'm like the type of person that, like, when you're on a road trip, I will stare out the window to see something. Like, I want to see animals. I want to see the landscape, like dead bodies, ghosts. Like, I want it all. Like, I also get motion sickness, so I can't.
I used to think when I was a kid that I would see a werewolf out the window on like this one very specific
Oh my God.
like stretch that my parents used to drive a lot when I was a kid. I used to like close my eyes and like cover my head because I knew there was a werewolf.
Oh my God, your intuition. Maybe there was something there.
Maybe.
I wonder.
I hope
That's
not, because
funny.
it's pretty close to my house now.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no,
you should go there
it's not
though.
real.
You should go there now as an adult and just see what's up.
I don't know that I could. It terrified me, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so I have spent a great deal of time in all these areas that like all these stories come from. I've never had an experience. I always wanted an experience because, like, of course, you get like friends and family that talk about it because it's such a well-known thing. I don't know anyone personally that has a story, which makes me start to believe that it's not real. But I like the idea that it's celebrated out there, at least.
Yeah.
But I do have kind of a story where at the time I thought it was a Sasquatch encounter. So we were camping in backwoods, middle of nowhere, BC. And we had a small little trailer that they pulled behind the truck. And one night we were all sleeping in the trailer. And I think I woke up in the middle of the night because, like, I don't know, startled awake, or the trailer moved, or I don't know, I just woke up and I was laying there and all of a sudden I could hear this like heavy breathing, like heavy, like, I don't know if that's working through the microphone, but like heavy breathing. And then all of a sudden, like, the trailer would just like jerk a little bit.
Oh my God, I hate that.
Yeah. And like, I don't remember like if my mom woke up, like, it was
How
a long
old were
time
you,
ago.
sorry?
I want to say it was like almost like 12, maybe.
Okay.
13. I don't want to say if I was preteen or anything. It was like old enough to remember, but like young enough that the details are lost on me now. And so we're like laying there. The trailer's kind of like rocking back and forth. There's heavy breathing. I don't know if we either like just stayed up the rest of the night and stayed inside, or if someone went outside, because it was just like me and my mom and my two brothers. And I think my grandpa was either sleeping in the truck or in his own tent because it was a very small trailer. So in the morning, we found out that it was cows. They had wandered over and were rubbing themselves against the trailer and just breathing in the window.
Oh my God.
But like, I was terrified as a kid.
Yeah.
Because like they were like sniffing and like licking their like tongues, and then they would like rub against the trailer to scratch themselves, I suppose. I don't know.
That would be so scary.
Yeah. So like in BC, like I don't know if it happens here in Ontario, but like they will have like people will own these big plots of lands, and then they'll just throw like cows on there to like, I don't know if they'll eat them later or what.
Grass.
Yeah, basically. And then you know, you'll be driving and you'll hit a cattle guard, so you know that there'll be cows in the area. And so it must have just been that where they wandered down the mountain and into this campground and just scared the shit out of me.
That's, oh my God. No, thank you.
Right? Like, so imagine if we woke up that morning and there was no cows outside. Like, I would just be like, Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, to this day, you would believe that it would.
I would probably tell that story on this podcast. Like, I met Bigfoot. Like,
I met him.
Yeah, he breathed heavily in my ear. Like, but yeah, so that's the closest experience I've ever personally had.
Cows.
Yeah. So anyways, back to the sightings. Real people sightings. So I forgot to mention my sources. I'll say that real quick. My credits are Britannica.com, the Canadian Encyclopedia, Tourism Harrison, and SasquatchCanada.com.
All right.
And then probably other sources that I forgot to put up there. So this was from the Canadian Encyclopedia. So in 1884, an article in the Victoria's British Colonist is often cited as the earliest evidence of a Sasquatch sighting. So the article goes on to describe the capture of this half-man, half-beast near Yale, BC. And they nicknamed it Jacko. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, Jacko.
I wish I still called it Jacko.
Yeah. And it was described as something of a gorilla type.
Okay.
That resembled a human covered in thick, glossy black hair. They said they found the creature unconscious on a set of railway tracks. I don't know why you'd be sleeping on some.
Where is it now?
Yeah. Apparently, upon awakening, the men chased this ape creature, Jacko. And then they managed to drop rocks on its head or something to like knock it out.
Bumble?
Yeah. Oh my god. Wait, did they get this from that
story
movie?
Of Bumble?
I think they just stole this from that. No, because that came out like in the 1900s.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so
yeah,
funny.
because Rudolph came out in
like 1912.
I think it was,
I don't know.
I think it was like 1962. I want to say.
I feel like it's older than that. I could be wrong.
No, it was because I have the 50-year DVD.
I love that movie. Yeah,
it's my favorite.
I didn't even put that together, but you're right. Exactly like how they
definitely Bumble. And then they ripped all his teeth out.
Yeah, and no. But so apparently this story's a hoax anyways. So it's just funny. It was debunked years later. I don't know what years later, but it was debunked because reportedly about 200 people went to go see this Jacko at the jail. But they
kept it in jail.
I know.
I guess like where else would you keep something that's potentially dangerous?
That's true. A zoo? I don't. So apparently they went to this jail to go see Jacko. I mean, if someone said they captured a Bigfoot, I feel like I'd go too.
Yeah.
But there was nothing there, and there was just like a frantic man trying to be like, "No, he's real. I promise. Ask me the questions."
He's like in Wizard of Oz. He's like, "Oh, he's behind the curtain."
Yeah, don't go behind there. So what that tells me is that clickbait culture existed long before.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually just a loon behind.
Howling.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So anyways, other than like the obvious sightings that you kind of mentioned, like the impossibly tall ape creatures and some of the common things people report is having rocks thrown at them. Like
I had a couple of those too that I read, but I was like,
yeah. The only reason I put that in is because it's consistent enough to me to be like a plausible.
But in the ones that I read, they never saw anything. So I was like,
oh.
well,
that's the thing is like some of the ones I read where they'd be like fishermen in a boat and they would have this Sasquatch throwing rocks from the shore, being like, get out of here.
But they saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for the most part, some people will be like, they'll be in their tent and then they'll have rocks being thrown at their campsite or their tent.
That could just be asshole teenagers.
Right. Or it could just be, I don't know, maybe a bird dropped something. But and then obviously, like you said, people hear like howls or guttural primal screams and grunts. And one story, a lady described it as like a hummingbird, which is so unsettling.
Oh,
like just
weird.
like, could you imagine being like, and you just like look up? Yeah.
No, thank you.
And then you kind of mentioned too, like the footprints. So obviously that's like one of the more common pieces of evidence, which I fucking cannot stand. I don't know why, but footprints proves nothing to me. Like it just, how is it possible that these big feet men, these Sasquatch, have the same type of feet as we do?
Yeah.
If you look at, and I even looked this up because I was like, I didn't want to just spout bullshit. Like if you look up like gorilla feet, like ape feet, like they kind of look like a human footprint, but they always have that like weird elongated toe that's like really far back.
Yeah.
So like why? And then also too like I read a thing actually recently about how like we're fucking our feet up as a society with shoes, which makes sense. Because if you look at like a baby's foot, they're kind of like cone shaped is the only way I can describe it. Is like the ball of foot's really wide and then the heel's really narrow. And then their toes are a little bit like more splayed out. And then as we grow up, we obviously put shoes on and then bind our feet into a specific way. And then and they were showing pictures of feet from like, I think it was like an African tribe that never wore shoes and how different their feet looked compared to ours.
Oh, that's
interesting. And how they looked more like the baby feet with like the splayed toes, the ball of the foot. So like, I feel like that's what these footprints should look more like. You know, if why are they so narrow-toed like we are because of shoes?
Yeah.
That is my biggest problem with the whole foot thing. And then like I was looking up a lot of the footprints and just like the pattern of which, when you're walking, some people will either walk very forward, like on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
Some people walk really flat-footed, or some people walk like on their heel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of these like impressions were very even. Like,
yeah, they're like perfect.
Yeah, and I'm like, no one walks so
like somebody stamped it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
also, it wouldn't be that hard to like make a mold of a foot that big,
right? There's a story I read, I don't know how true it is because it was probably on Reddit, about this like grandpa that made these like big giant penguin feet prints, and he would wake up in the morning and wear them and walk on the beach. I think this was like somewhere East Coast America, like Maine or something, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it like made the paper, made the news, and this happened like I think in like the 60s or 70s.
He's just a bored old guy.
Yeah, and he like literally like on his deathbed he told his family, he's like, oh, by the way, like that was me.
I love him.
Right? Like legend. So like it's not hard to fool people. Like,
yeah,
it's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my foot rant. I just don't believe in the castings of the giant footprints.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't think they'd be so similar to our feet.
It doesn't make sense. If it is like an ape-like thing, you'd think it would be more like an ape.
Right? Like I just can't see why their feet would be the same. Although my favorite theory is that Sasquatch is a shapeshifter in like the native sort of like lore and legend.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of like indigenous cultures talk about various shapeshifters in their own communities and stuff, and there's different names and stuff. So this is what I find like the most believable if we're gonna try and do that. And so, there's people saying that like a quote from an article I read actually said, the creature goes from a physical form to a spiritual form, and as a result, that's why people never catch him. And I'm like, that's honestly a good way of giving it a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if it is a shapeshifter, then who's to say that it's walking as like this half man, half ape creature? And then, oh shit, someone spotted me. Boom, it's a raven. Boom, it's a mouse. Boom, it's a ghost. Which I kind of like that theory. Also, too, because I feel like it fits in with the cultural legends as well from the communities and the indigenous tribes and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, who's to say there isn't like, just some skinwalker or shapeshifter who's just playing pranks on people. But so obviously I was trying to find pretty credible sources, and I really wanted to find stories that came from the local like tribes and stuff nearby, which is hard because apparently in some cultures they say even talking about it can summon it to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why yeah, I know, right? Like all the times I've said things. So yeah, it's difficult to find stories because they're like, oh, no, if we talk about it, bad things will happen.
Yeah.
And I also think too that a lot of these stories get either misrepresented or grouped in with other things. So like one article I was reading was talking about all these different creatures basically that the local natives had that kind of all do, like one was like these little gremlin creatures that throw rocks at people, and then another one was like this creature that howls and steals your children. So it's like it could just be many different creatures or spirits or whatever that were like, it's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But then I also heard if you see one, it's a good omen. So if you see a Bigfoot, it's a sign that you're at the right place at the right time.
Weird.
I don't know what you win, but
yeah. You win a bunch of people not believing you.
Exactly, calling you crazy.
Yeah. What's kind of frustrating is that we're never going to be able to prove that it's not real. We're only going to be able to prove that it is real if it's real.
Yeah.
Because people are never going to give up on trying to prove it.
I don't want them to. Like, honestly, I'd love for them to find that and it be the new thing.
Yeah.
Like I think like I mentioned before, we're always finding new sea creatures. Like there's new insects, new bugs.
Yeah.
Who's to say there isn't another animal that we just haven't discovered? But
yeah. It's just weird that it's so massive, but we can't take a video of it.
I just feel like it's 2020 and we still don't have like a corpse or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like what happens when they die?
Exactly.
They bury them? Probably not.
Probably not. Although I have heard that like finding bear carcasses in the wild is extremely hard. So it makes me wonder if it's like the same thing. I did read a story actually about someone saying they found a corpse, and the head was missing, and like the body had obviously been scavenged very, very much, but it was like the people there were like, well, it's humanoid, it's furry, it's extremely large, there's no like claws. And so they called like wildlife and fisheries and stuff to report it, and they're like, yeah, sure, it was probably just a bear. And then the people were like, I don't think it was a bear, can you please look? And they're like, sure, we'll investigate it. And then nothing ever came of it. So
Weird.
it sucks that like
Maybe
that
it's
could
all a
have
conspiracy.
right.
The government placed them there.
Yeah. Or the government doesn't want you to know, so they're like, it was just a bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, so also too, apparently, do not whistle at night. I have read this on multiple different things.
I don't really whistle ever, so
I know, but
tell me why though.
Allegedly, that is how they communicate, is like through whistles. So if you hear whistling in the night or in the day and you don't know where it's coming from, could be a Sasquatch. And then obviously if you whistle, they'll be like, oh, like what's trying to communicate with me? Yeah. But I've also heard that too for like other like urban legends, like for like the Wendigo or whatever, or other stuff like that, where like whistling will attract bad spirits to you. So
I'm literally picturing Sasquatch just like catcalling.
They invented it.
Yeah, it's actually always just been them.
It's yeah. They got jobs as construction workers.
Yeah. They shapeshifted into a construction worker. Okay, well, we solved it. So
We solved it.
You're welcome, everybody.
I actually did read a theory though that like some of the local tribes said that they have basically gone extinct. One of the things I read was that, you know, they were a neighboring tribe that they lived in peace with. And they were aware that they weren't like human, but everything was kosher, so it was fine. And then eventually they just died out.
Oh.
Which is like plausible. I mean, but although I feel like there'd still be more evidence.
I feel like humans are just like dicks. So I feel like they wouldn't just like live peacefully with them.
No, I know, right? But
they're like, oh, you're an animal, we need to kill and eat you.
Yeah. Oh, sure, true. We need to be the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
One of the more common things that happens, other than like the rocks being thrown or whatever, is like in these stories from the tribes and stuff, like I guess like a lot of their fish would go missing. Like their dried fish. And I'm assuming that they would have it like in a tree or something because of bears. But they would always just be like, oh, it was just a Sasquatch stealing some fish. Like if we don't bother it, it won't bother us or whatever. But one story that I read though was about this little girl in the 1871 who was abducted from a reservation in Chehalis, BC, and she was returned a year later by the same creature that abducted her. Oh. So the story goes that she was set to be married and was out in the forest gathering cedar roots, where she was taken by one of the hairy giants who like I said, they were known to like inhabit the region. Like they were aware of, like they called them the hairy giants or whatever. Which is wild to me.
What a sad name.
The hairy giants. Oh man, poor guys. Like, we're really good at math too. No one ever mentions that. So anyways, the giant apparently covered her eyes in, I wrote tree sap because I was like, I don't know I can't remember what it said. So they covered her eye in tree sap so that she couldn't see, like I guess it's like a blindfold. That's intelligent.
Gross.
Yeah. And then it like hucked her over his shoulder and then like carried her for hours up into these like caves nearby. Well, I'm assuming nearby. She didn't know because her eyes were covered. Yeah. And so she said that in the cave, like she lived with the Sasquatch or hairy creature for a whole year. And it was like her, the Sasquatch, and then like its two elderly parents, which is crazy. Weird. And I guess she was like feeling ill and like thinking she was gonna die. So she was like, please, like she pled with them, like, please, like let me go home, let me see my family before I die. Like I just want to be like in my village. So the giant covered her eyes again in sap and brought her back down to the village and left her basically in front of a house. And turns out she was pregnant and she gave birth to the baby, but the baby died like immediately.
Hang on, she was pregnant when he abducted her or when she got back?
once she got back. So she was with the Sasquatch for a year, she said. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. She was with him for a whole year. So I'm assuming the story was very short. I'm assuming at some point some sort of intercourse was engaged, willing or not.
Oh my.
And so she was pregnant. And I don't know if she knew she was pregnant or if she was trying to trick the Sasquatch into taking her home. But she was like, I'm sick, see? Like, and so it took her home, and then she ended up giving birth. But then the baby did not make it. And she was very grateful that the baby died and was hoping she'd never see the Sasquatch again, like in an interview a couple years later.
What year did that happen in? Did that happen in?
Yeah, did it? What did I? 1871. So, I mean, who knows? It was written on a scroll probably back then. Like,
oh my God. That's an interesting one.
Right? I put that one in there because I'm just like, oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I did read about was it stealing children. Like if your kid wanders too far in the forest, like it could get abducted.
Oh my God.
Which also makes me believe that it was like a bedtime story to keep kids from wandering or whatever.
Yeah.
But like also
I don't know about that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I love when the stories have like a deep rooted like tradition or like legend, and like, because when you think of Sasquatch or Bigfoot, like do you picture that like old video immediately in your mind?
Honestly, I picture Harry and the Hendersons because that, like, I grew up watching that movie and that was like my first like exposure to like Bigfoot. So that's just what I picture.
For me, I picture that video that
like
the him walking on the river. Yeah. And obviously people have been talking about Sasquatch since they've colonized the Americas, basically. So like I wanted to know more of the stories that came from the people that were here first. Like it's their legend, essentially. Like, or did we bring these creatures somehow across from Europe
on the boat?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh jeez. Yeah, I don't know. This was weird.
Yeah, so many of the stories, like you said, were so lame, or they turned out to be like hoaxes for like tourism. Yeah. Like one I almost included was like the story on Vancouver Island. There's like something called like the Forbidden Plateau, which already has like a yeah. And it was said that like the local like native tribe there like hid its women and children like up on this plateau during some sort of war. Okay. And then they went to go retrieve their children after, and like no one was there, and they just assumed that the whole tribe was taken by Sasquatch essentially, or killed or whatever. But it was like debunked or something, and I was really like,
bummer.
Stop lying, because this is why people think we're crazy.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I found actually this list. I found it on the sasquatchcanada.com website, so I'm sure that's not a credible source, but it's basically this 30, I'm not gonna read them all because it's like a 38-page document of like the dates, the location, the witness, and then the incident. And it's like so like the first one on here was from 1783, somewhere in the interior of BC. The witness was a guy named James K. Smith. Like, couldn't find a more basic name. And it basically just says that David Thomason expedition came across animal tracks as large as 14 inches by 8 inches that look like they have been made only 6 hours earlier. How did they know? I always think of that scene in that movie Beethoven. Did you ever watch that movie Beethoven?
With the dog?
Yeah. There's a scene where like the dog, obviously the dogs escape, and then they're like trying to track it, and then they poop. And then someone puts their finger in the poop to see if it's warm. Ew. To see how recent it was. That's what it makes me think of. Like, how did they know 6 hours?
Gross.
So anyways, yeah, they said that the marks were an old grizzly bear, but there was no claws, which is okay. Maybe it just didn't. I don't know.
Well, don't grizzly bears have paws?
Yeah.
So how would it be Bigfoot?
Right? That's what I mean. So another one in 1864. I like the old ones because like they're always such bullshit anyways.
Yeah.
A Hudson Bay co-explorer and fur trader and his party were attacked by hairy humanoids, which threw rocks at them in the Fraser River Canyon from the cliffs above. So that's creepy. Yeah, some of these are just as simple as in the 1900s, O'Brien Bay, a Sasquatch was spotted. Thank you, Brian, for being so descriptive. This one says saw a hairy man beast washing roots in the river and placing them in neat piles on the riverbank.
Oh my God.
The wild thing to me is like, I obviously knew Sasquatch. I thought about Sasquatch, but the more I read up on it and saw all of the like these locations that they're spotted at, I've been to like, I want to say at least 80%. And I'm like, how have I never had an experience?
That's crazy.
Yeah. This one just could be a really hairy guy. Hunters in an uninhabited area saw a young, hairy wild man with long matted hair and a beard who ran off at speed through impenetrable undergrowth, which is, and he's also been seen by a few others, which is a fair statement. The forests in BC are really dense sometimes. They have a lot of undergrowth. They're hard to walk through, like no fucking way. So for someone to just like run through it is kind of crazy.
That's so funny.
This one, I can 100% tell you this was a spirit bear. In 1907 on Moresby Island, a white-colored Sasquatch was spotted in the distance. So unless there's albino Sasquatch up there, it's probably a spirit bear, which are white bears, essentially.
Oh my God.
This one. Villagers scared by a hairy monkey, which dug clams and howled at the beach at night. Maybe that was a monkey, like legitimately. There was all sorts of weird animals that they had back then because there's no laws against it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, some of these are just like footprint. A fisherman spotted a wild man drinking from the river. Like, how many of these do you wonder are like just really racist accounts?
Probably most of them.
Right? Like, because they used to call the natives savages. So, like,
yeah.
What's stopping them?
Yeah.
Lots of people being kidnapped, honestly. Like, it makes me wonder what happened there.
Yeah. Or like they ran off and had to go back home and they're just like, oh, I was kidnapped.
Yeah. And like some of these accounts are obviously by like trappers and hunters. So it's like, why didn't you shoot at it? Like,
yeah,
you can shoot a deer from 20 yards away or whatever. Like,
yeah. So weird. Yeah, I don't know. These stories aren't making me believe any more than I
know. And I really tried to find like
the good ones.
Yeah, the most believable. Although I did see a video, actually, I think it was from this year or last year. This guy was he in a helicopter? I think he was in a helicopter or something like that. And he was filming like a glacier on a mountain, like middle of nowhere. And there was like this black spot that you see just walking so effortlessly up this mountain in the snow, like deep, deep, deep snow. And it's just like going. Yeah. And it's really big. And obviously like I think it was from a helicopter. Like it was just a little black speck, but like using a tree as kind of like a scale. You can tell how big it was. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if anyone's ever seen a moose run through the snow, but like it's effortless for them too.
Yeah.
So it could have just been like a moose.
Yeah. Or like a really big bear.
Yeah, right? Like coming out of hibernation.
Yeah. Super weird. I don't know. I really don't think I believe it.
No, I don't feel like we've swayed anyone today.
No, I don't think so.
If anything, we probably like debunked it. No.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah. It's it. Sasquatch is
the
fake.
definitive answer.
Although I did see a lot of stories about people saying that they thought they saw like a tree trunk in the distance and then it stood up. So I always wonder how many times like I have looked out the window wanting to see something and then didn't, but maybe there was a Sasquatch just squatting there looking like a tree trunk.
Maybe.
I wish there was a way like when you die you could see the stats of everything.
Like you can like go back and like review.
Yeah, like I want to know how many serial killers that I've like encountered.
Oh God, I don't think I want to know that.
Right.
Oh, if you're already dead, who cares?
Exactly, they didn't hurt you. I mean, it would suck if they're like that was the one that killed ya.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'm just so curious. I just want to know that kind of information. There's no way of knowing, so
yeah, that'd be great. I wish.
All right, everybody. Until next time, stay spooky.